Hello and welcome to Creating Canon with your hosts AJ Hamilton and Naval Cocky Prick.
Yeah, well,
Yeah?
yeah, one of those is right.
Just add gazing to it and we got you.
Naval cocky prick gazing?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that
No.
were...
You always know where my brain is going.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Got it. Oh, my lord.
And Nicholas C. Pappas.
Yay.
Nick. Oh, yay.
By
Nick,
that
what
applause,
did you
you could tell that we are still recording in the quarantine time.
Yup. The
What did I do?
Q-teen.
The
The
Q-teen.
Q-tine.
What did I do? What do you mean, what did I do?
Why did you, this movie, we had to watch this movie because of you.
Yeah, well, because of me. Well, first of all,
Yeah.
this movie is called The Finest Hour. It was made in 1992. 21st Century Film Corporation, Menahem Golan produced. Starring Rob Lowe and Gail Henson.
Nice.
The movie runs an hour and 45 minutes, and I did not find one fine hour in that movie. I'm not even sure I found a fine 10 minutes.
Barely
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah,
Crikey, man.
This was a tough one.
Listen, I am running low on things to watch during this quarantine time. And this, I didn't need to fill time that badly. That's what I'll say.
We are jumping straight to it. Yeah, I will say right off the top, the thing about this movie was that it was it wasn't good, nor was it so bad that it was fun.
Oh, no.
Nor was it even I wouldn't even say that was because this wasn't like Othello or Gore to me, where it was just bad and hard to watch. This was just so bland. It was boring. In fact, you know what? Let me read the plot to you.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Because I think this sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
If Wonder Bread and Milk had a pro-war baby that engaged in shoddy voiceover, you'd have The Finest Hour. Because
oh,
essentially...
you know what it was? And I'm definitely not the first person to coin this term, but it was aggressively average.
Yeah, it was just boring. It was aggressive. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yep.
And full disclosure, I should mention that. Yeah, I know, right? And we're done. Full disclosure, I should mention that just when I saw the poster, I said to AJ, I don't want to watch this movie.
Yes. You harped on that quite a bit.
I do not want to watch this movie. This might be the first movie in our podcast history. And this is the 71st movie we've watched where going into it, I was like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. In fact, there was a point where I think I sent you a text message that basically said, if I quit the podcast, I can stop watching.
I remember that. Yeah.
Which,
well, and I came back and said, if I quit too, then neither of us have to watch it.
Yeah.
It would have been, well, there is a poster, and I don't know which one you were dreading.
Is it Rob Lowe just doing the salute, and it's a close up of him in a white, the white navy dress? There is
that, but there's also a very cluttered one as well, where in the bottom there's a bunch of Navy SEALs running around. Then above that is the American flag. Then to the left of that is our star Dean and the love interest of both men, Barbara. And then up there is a mustachio-less Rob Lowe. And then there's a bunch of ghost naval characters. It's a fucking mess.
The Halcyons de Mar.
It's awful.
Yeah, that is a terrible.
Yeah.
That is a terrible poster.
Yeah.
Wow, that is hard.
Who knows what's trying to be said there?
The poster that I'm talking about, it's just Rob Lowe in naval dress, in his dress whites, with a bunch of parachutes and dudes running in the ocean.
Oh yeah, I see that one too.
In the moment between life and death, heroes are born, which is the tagline.
That relates very little to this movie.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's one of those movies where, like, I feel like this is a definite, like, subgenre of film where there was that movie Annapolis that starred James Franco. There was Men of War with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robert De Niro. And I'm sure we could think of more if we really set our minds to it, where it's like, it's the movie where it's like, I'm going to get through the Naval Academy, and then I'm going to be... And,
well, this reminded me a lot of Top Gun.
Oh, yeah, Top Gun's a perfect example, where it's like the first, half an hour to an hour is like them getting through and like, we hate each other, but now we're best friends. Exactly. And brothers in war. And then
Iceman.
Yeah. Ugh,
I hope that that teeth pop showed up on the recording because it hurt.
Yeah,
but
I actually didn't hear it, so try it again. There, that.
Yeah, there it is.
I was wondering how many times I can get you to do the teeth cracking, but I just have to stop.
But I would say this movie, like we're saying, pretty average movie. It's one of those movies where it's seen a lot of other movies, and so it just basically plays through all of those
the story
beats. Yeah, but in a messier way. Yeah,
wow. I was to say, like, that subgenre of film, like Annapolis and this and Top Gun and on and on and on. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting that you mentioned Top Gun because Top Gun's 2 years prior to this movie. So I guarantee Menahem Golan watched Top Gun and was like, I want to make that.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And then he missed on all levels.
Except for the homoeroticism. He got that one.
That was definitely in this movie. There was a point in this movie where the two guys were holding each other, and there was a moment where I was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna kiss! This is gonna like." And that was the one time in the movie where I got really excited because I thought they were gonna go somewhere different.
Nope.
No, not at all. No, but to go back to a point that I was trying to make 14 minutes ago, is that I find all of those movies that are like Annapolis and Men of Honor and Top Gun, I find them all kind of boring. They're just not a thing that I love.
I think they're definitely made for a very specific person, a very specific viewer.
Maybe that's what it is.
It's the type of person who just absolutely adores sitting down and watching History Channel, loves reading those books, about war, nonfiction war books.
But I like the History Channel. This is not the History Channel.
Oh no, I know, and not exclusively. I'm just saying that the person who is interested in watching people go through the training and they're a very, and I'm definitely not down on this type of person, but I don't think the training and the struggle that a person goes through in war is appealing to all viewers, all audiences.
What it is. Well, and what's so weird is by the end of this movie, it is so clearly pro-war that I was like, what are we doing?
It was definitely
I thought that was fascinating. Yeah, and we'll get there, like why I came to that conclusion that it's pro-war when we get to the end. But like, again, I will say, like, if we're gonna let's hop into the movie.
Yeah.
And with my full disclosure, I thought to myself, my first note is actually full disclosure. I don't want to watch this movie, and this song is not helping that feeling. Oh God, what is this voiceover? Oh Lord. And this is a quote now. I had this thing about deep water. And I was, like, at that point, I was like, I checked how much time was left at the end of his opening voice-over narration.
Yeah.
And I was less than 2 minutes into the movie, and I had already checked time for the first time.
I checked time at 7:30, and my note for that was bored now. Also, I do want to point out that beginning song is called "The Finest Hour" by Ben Green.
Oh yeah,
and the greatest thing is,
was it written for the
movie? It seems like it might have been.
Oh, really? What was your first clue?
But no, I want to tell you this, and this is a spoiler, that the last song over the credits is not the same song. You might have thought it was because it was talking about Finest Hour, but it's a completely different song called Our Finest Hour by David Allen Morgan.
I'm so sorry. So there was one song called The Finest Hour, and then there was another song called Our Finest Hour.
Yeah. And I just gotta say, all of the music in this is absolutely 100% golden.
It is music
for the time.
I was gonna say, it's music from the 80s in a 90s movie.
To be fair, they were just a little bit off the cut.
That's true. But oh boy, so the very basic plot line of this movie is a bunch of guys show up, and our lead guy's name is Dean. Is it Mazzoli or Rizzoli? I couldn't figure it out the whole movie.
I looked it up. It's Mazzoli. I thought it was Rizzoli, and I was going to make a joke about it being a prequel to Rizzoli and Isles.
I had the same moment.
There was Mazzoli and Hammer, and now there's Rizzoli
and Isles. I had the same. I almost wrote down the same exact joke, which it's not. It's not even a joke.
It's
really.
Not.
It's like
very lazy observation, but it's fine.
Yeah, well, I figured
if it made one person laugh,
what we were doing is we were matching the output of Shyman Doughton and Stuart Schaffman, who are the writers of this movie.
Thanks, guys.
Which, oh boy.
Yep.
So the basic plot line is like a bunch of people in the Navy show up in San Diego to become Navy SEALs. We have Dean Mazzoli, who's sort of our lead.
I would say so.
Unless you want to make Rob Lowe, who plays Lawrence Hammer, the lead.
I would say Dean is our de facto guy who stuff happens to. He's so flat.
Well, he is Wonder Bread. But the thing about that, though, is even though he starts the movie off as the character who's sort of quote unquote the lead, and he's got the voiceovers, the thing that becomes confusing is when so what they're trying to become is Navy SEALs.
Yes.
And when Navy SEAL training is over, we don't follow him. We follow Rob Lowe.
For a bit.
For quite a while. And then
he shows back up, though.
But I would say, weirdly, for a movie set up where Dean seems to be our main character, Rob Lowe has way more screen time.
Oh, no, he was the it guy at that point. Wouldn't you say?
Though? This was 91.
91.
This is the same year as Wayne's World, where Wayne's World happened when he was needing work.
Yeah, no, you're right. But when did St. Elmo's Fire come out?
St. Elmo's Fire was 4 years before this.
And was that not a bigger thing for his career? In your opinion?
I think we've peaked and Rob Lowe started to fall back down. Is what happened.
I agree with that. But he is a bigger name than Gale, right?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
That's what I was sort of saying. Is
I see what you're getting at.
Even if you had a substandard script, if you get a famous person in there, you're going to push them towards the front as they did on the poster. But I guess
what I'm saying is having him be the lead, touting Rob Lowe as the lead in 1991 would be like touting Kellen Lutz as the lead of your movie in 2020. He might have been a guy who was sort of a name 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But now he's sort of really? That guy's still acting? I think that's where Rob Lowe was in his career when this movie came out.
And thank goodness he pushed through all the negative people like you and then became America's darling again on 9/11 Lone Star.
Yes.
No, but also he was fucking awesome as Chris Traeger in Parks and Rec.
No, yeah. He had a lot. He had a great comeback. I actually, if you watch that show The Grinder with him and Fred Savage.
Oh, yeah.
That movie was delightful. That TV series was delightful as well. And I'm kind of sad that it was canceled because I thought they were doing interesting, fun stuff with it.
And he was the often forgotten antagonist in Tommy Boy.
Yes. Well, he's oft forgotten because he was uncredited.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, he's uncredited in that movie.
Well, look at that.
There was something that I remember reading, he did the movie as a favor, but he couldn't be in the movie technically because of some contractual things, so they put him in as uncredited. which some dumb thing where they got by with it. I don't know.
That's
specifics.
fair, but we're not talking about that. It's a better movie, but we're not talking
about this. Just some lovely lines. There's this moment in the beginning where I actually thought this was a fun line, where the drill sergeant is like, "Step forward if you think you could kick my ass."
You mean the drill sergeant with the short shorts?
Look, just because he raided John Ritter's closet for Three's Company
God.
Doesn't mean that, like, he's not a scary drill sergeant.
It's fair.
Yeah.
But yes, he did. No, I did like these couple of lines.
Yeah. So the drill sergeant says, "If you think you can kick my ass, take a step forward." And every person there steps forward except for Dean. And the drill sergeant gets in his face and goes, "What, you don't think you can kick my ass?" And Dean goes, "Nah, I know I can kick your ass." Boom. And
mic drop.
It was a great mic drop moment. What I also liked about that moment too is if you watch the drill sergeant's face, he gets that like little half smile of like, very good answer. Like you. That is a. And I actually thought that was a.
You were listening.
That was a nice little acting moment. I'm gonna give him some credit. That drill sergeant.
It was fine.
There was another line that I wrote down where, for some reason, Hammer and Mazzoli hate each other.
Yeah, of course.
And they end up at the same bar, and Hammer is just a dick. He steals some dude's money, and Mazzoli is like, "Give the money back." And Hammer's like, "What, you want to fight me for it?" And Mazzoli goes, "If I want trouble, I look for it in the bottom of a bottle." And I was like, what the fuck does that line even mean?
Why are you expositing
that you're an alcoholic?
Yeah, good for you. All right.
Great. Also at that bar, we've had Mazzoli bump into this woman named Barbara.
Yep. Who's
known for Sleepaway Camp 3 and being the half-sister of Melanie Griffith.
Yeah.
Those are the two things she's known for.
Good for her.
And Mazzoli is like, "Oh my God, Barbara, you're the best thing in the world." And Barbara's like, I mean, she literally bumps into him, spills beer, and he's like, "Hey,
maybe we can do this again."
Yeah, we can do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Something happens. I don't even remember. Hammer puts Mazzoli in a bad position. So in order to settle it, they have a slap fight, which was...
Dude, that's when I wrote down, is this a comedy?
I had the same moment because it seriously was like...
They slap each other. They march everybody out into the beach. And for what seems like hours...
It's like on a fucking peak,
like a cliff.
The beach. Like it's like a gorgeous, picturesque place. It's like it's the place where you ask somebody to marry you.
Oh yeah, no, it was clearly, they did this because the camera told them to do this.
Yeah,
and it's a great shot. You're right, but the drill sergeant insists that he keeps calling out their names. And each time he calls out their names, and I actually loved this interaction, but each time he calls out their names, they slap each other. And they 5-10 slaps in, they're
Hammer,
like...
Mazzoli.
Bam!
Hammer! Mazzoli.
And about...
Hammer! Mazzoli. Isles! Mazzoli. Duck season! Wabbit season! Duck season! Bang!
They actually ask, do we have to do the same hand each time? No, let's switch it up. And they slap each other again, and they're like, no, that feels a lot better. Downright pleasurable.
Yeah. The drill sergeant also, when he makes him start that slap fight, he says something like, "We're going to handle this the military way."
Yeah.
It's like, this is how you handle things in the military? Do you stand on a cliff taking turns slapping each other?
Well, also, they had this thing where, when they were in training...
What are all the guns for?
But when they were in training, they did something called sugar cookies, and I don't know if you noticed that.
I thought that was funny.
But the first time I'd ever heard it was in Bob's Burgers, where
really?
I'd never heard that before. But what they do is they run into the ocean, they come out, and they all have to roll on the ground as punishment to get all of the fine sand all over themselves. And
they look like sugar cookies.
Sugar cookies, and very uncomfortable and such like that. But I was laughing at it as well, because it seems like a very ridiculous thing to do to grown men.
It was very funny to me. Oh, there was also another scene where the drill sergeant was like, "Get your face in that sand," and then they have to like...
Sand walking. Face walking.
Yeah,
that's what it was called.
Lead with their face and like pushed forward like they were gigantic slugs through the sand, and their face was leaving a trail. What I loved about the slap fight is, like, these two characters hated each other. Like, we're beating each other earlier, like 5 minutes earlier, and we're like now 10 minutes into the movie, they get into a slap fight that their drill sergeant makes them do. They slap each other for like 10 hours, and then they're like best friends, and they're like they actually refer to each other as best friends at that point.
Yeah, they actually go back to the changing room, and some guys bring Dean some ice. They smuggled out of somewhere, I don't know, and then they're like, no, but fuck Hammer, we're not gonna give you any ice. And then Dean is like, no, you know what?
This is my ice man.
We're a team.
I'm Maverick, and he's my ice man. Here, take some of my ice.
Because we're not going to even deal with Goose. Goose died. Spoilers. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. But, yeah, it's a real weird switch around. And then, what coincidence. They go to the bar together.
Oh, no. Hold on. On their way to the bar. My favorite moment in this entire movie.
Oh, my God. When they're driving?
And he points out the San Diego Blue buildings.
So what it is actually the San Onofre nuclear generating station. If anybody wants a visual of this, it's along the is it the 5? It's the 405 down the 405 on the way to San Diego from L.A. And yes, you're absolutely right. They don't say anything about it. It's not audible, but they just point at the building, and both of them laugh because. Truly, it does look like two big boobs.
With little nipples on top.
With little tiny... And if you go in the middle of the night, the little...
nipples light up.
Nipples have red lights on it. Yeah, so...
That's one of those things where, like, I was so... It made me honestly mad, because I have definitely been driving through San Diego with my friends and been like, oh, those buildings look like boobs. And then to have that played out in a movie that I hated, I felt prosecuted, really, is what was happening.
Calling you out, man.
Yeah, I very much felt prosecuted.
Yep. Oh, you are right.
But then there's that scene with the women at the bar, which...
That started the weirdest, most annoying, overarching love story that just kept nosing into the entire movie.
They didn't need it. I actually wrote down, like, I don't know what the point of the women are in this movie.
It frustrated the hell out of me. Not to say that there shouldn't be women characters, but these are very underwritten characters.
I was going to say, they're borderline characters.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, Diane is barely... She's a name.
Yes.
For God's sake.
Yes. And then Barbara, who's played by Tracy Griffith, who is, Melanie's sister. Half-sister, sorry. It's just, oh my God. Like, for whatever reason, Dean is in love with her.
Yep.
And, like, he goes to hit on her, and she's like, I'm not interested. I'm into someone else. And she looks at Hammer, and he's like, that guy? And she's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And she, like, describes Hammer. And then Hammer comes over and kisses her on the mouth, and then Dean is like, you guys are dating?
I mean, like, in a better movie, it's a heart drop moment. It's like oh my God, my best friend and the girl that I am so attracted to. This is going to be so frustrating.
Yes.
And instead, and also, before we get to any of the drama that causes, I just want to say about these, as you say, quote-unquote characters, these women, they make Diane a rocket scientist, and they also make Barbara a marine biologist. It feels like what they were trying to do with the lack of character is say, no, we respect these lack of character women, and they have the most important jobs that we could possibly think of to give to them.
Yeah, I guess.
Doesn't it, right? I mean, like, because it never comes into any... effect.
No, not really.
There's not at all. The dolphin whistle could have been anything.
Yes. Well, that's I was about to say. Like, well, actually, and then like I realized as I was saying that no, there is no thing.
It feels patronizing.
You can take the women out of this movie.
Yes.
And almost nothing changes because they all go. Hang
you know what
out
I just
together.
realized?
What?
Having the women in here is the ultimate no homo card.
I guess so.
I'm not saying that I would say that, but I'm saying, like, to have it clearly stated that there is no homoeroticism, they had to include the female love interest, or else it would just be an all-male cast, practically.
Yeah, but they talk about boobs constantly. They show each other pictures of Playboys constantly. So,
oh, shit, that's right. I forgot about that.
All of that stuff, it just... I mean, what the women do, honestly, is they create false drama that makes no sense.
No.
Because essentially what happens is they all go out and party together in Vegas for the weekend.
Sure.
And...
Oh, Barbara has a child. I don't know if that makes any difference.
We find out at that moment, I think, or right around then, that Barbara has a kid. Well, there is an important part about that kid that I found to be amazing. Because they're all at, like, a lake. And Dean and Barbara are in the lake together. Dean tips the boat. They both end up underneath the boat, so you can't see them, like in Pirates of the Caribbean, where they're breathing underwater with the boat. Yeah. And they kiss under the boat, and it seems like Barbara's fully into that kiss.
It does.
Like, she half leads it. They get out of the boat. They walk up to the shore, and Barbara's little kid goes, "I'm so hungry, Mommy. I need food." And he's starving.
This timing.
And Hammer, played by Rob Lowe, is like, "Yeah, I'll go get pizza." And Barbara goes, "I'll get pizza with you." They go, and as they're waiting for pizza, Barbara is playing a fucking video game. And then she goes, "Let's get married." And Hammer's like, "Yeah, okay, let's get married." Let's do it.
Well, because Hammer was glaring at the boat that was tipped over like a psychopath. Like, he was ready to kill one or both of them.
I don't know who I hated more in this movie.
Honestly.
All three of those leads could die, and I wouldn't really care that much.
And Diane would be better off for it.
Yes, well, yes, Diane would definitely be better off for it. But what's amazing about that moment is Rob Lowe is holding the pizza that they're bringing home to her starving child. Yeah. They go and they get married, which was an amazing moment because the priest goes, "I now pronounce you man and wife." And there's this little old lady standing next to the priest who hops in and says,
"That'll be 5247
and
with the rings.
And it'll include the rings." And then the priest goes, "You may now kiss your bride."
There you go. Now that the paperwork's out of the way.
Yes. And it's amazing because when they get home, the kid is like, "I'm so hungry." It's like, how terrible of a mom are you that you left your starving child?
Or how short. Also, yeah, she was playing video games.
Maybe
she was waiting for the pizza.
Sure.
Technically, like, how long do you think that ceremony was? Probably not that long. They could have done it through a drive-through almost. But
you still have to have the paperwork. You still have to fill out the paperwork.
No,
you still have to pay for the wedding.
She did not care about that child at all.
No.
And his stomach eating itself.
I don't even know where I wrote this down, but I wrote down that Mazzoli is a real fucking creep, and why does he like Barbara?
Oh, and his toast to them while they're eating pizza is the creepiest thing ever. He starts saying,
Hammer, I love you.
Diane, I love you, and Hammer, and Barbara, and especially Josh.
He doesn't say Barbara. He says, Hammer, I love you.
Didn't he start with Barbara?
Diane, I love you. And I love you the most, Josh. I don't think he said Barbara, although I checked out constantly during this movie.
Didn't care, but the fact that he said, I love you, Josh, the most, when did he meet this child?
On this trip. Well, and that's the thing is, like, Josh clearly loves Dean more than Hammer. I can't believe I'm saying things like Dean and Hammer. Oh, my Lord.
I do want to point out something before we go on, that we do joke about how fast the relationships develop in this situation, and yet I looked it up, and Navy SEAL training can be 28 weeks long. So that's a half of a year. So you could actually get a decent amount. I mean, they don't show it, and they don't really portray it at all.
Well, the Navy SEAL training ends at the 28-minute mark of the movie. I know this because I checked.
One week a minute.
Yes, that's basically what ends up happening. Yeah. And like what happens at the end of the Navy SEAL training is, Lawrence and Dean were going to go to like their secondary training together, but now Dean's throwing a fit because Hammer married Barbara. So Mazzoli is like, I'm going to go to the East Coast, and that's all there is to it.
On my way to Virginia.
And there was another line, too, that I really... Oh, it was in the voiceover, where he's like, I went to Virginia because I just couldn't handle being around Hammer and Barbara. But Hammer and I were the hottest team in the water.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was jealous of Barbara, not of Hammer marrying Barbara. I think he was like, I wanted to be with Hammer. Also, this is the weirdest thing to do in a movie because there are 3, maybe possibly 4. I might have checked out during one of them, but there were only a few moments of narration. It's not a consistent thing throughout, but it's very odd. Like it would make sense if it bookended it. That's fine. But this one very odd. It's like the close of the first act, but it's really not. But it's kind of.
Well, it is the close of the first act. I mean, but it's narratively, almost, script-wise, this is the end of the first act.
It's true, but it's almost in place of a second act, wouldn't you say? Like, it's a very weird thing because they skip over a bunch of shit with about 10 lines of narration.
Yeah,
and also it's odd to happen because he's telling this story while they're still standing on the bluff overlooking the ocean.
Yes, yeah. Right before they split apart. Well,
Yep.
And that was the thing, because he does basically say, like, we split up for a couple of years and we were not talking to each other. And then we cut to the start of Desert Storm.
Yep. With a lot of news porn,
Desert
which is fun.
Shield. It's Desert Shield.
Desert Shield, right. The
time.
predecessor to Desert Storm. The Gulf War. Yeah.
And we have that great moment where Hammer and Bosco is just some random soldier guy.
Yep. This is probably my favorite part of this movie
where they get
it's so ridiculous.
And they do the fan hang gliders.
Yeah. The fan fucking hang gliders. It felt like a 1970s Bond escape. Didn't it?
Yes. I mean, like, they took, like, an industrial-sized fan, and they pointed it up at a hang glider, and then they strapped themselves in, and then flew off. And they were able to, like, control where they were going.
Naturally.
And one of their and Bosco's fan gets shot by one of the soldiers, the Iraqi soldiers.
Yep.
Oh,
my God.
At that point, it goes down.
Also,
I do want
to point out something. The way they got caught was because something on their person, I think it was their gun or something, was glinting in the sun. And I scrolled down in the comments on YouTube because, yes, I am unscrupulous. And the one guy said, if this dude got checked out because of a glint of something, he's not a fucking SEAL. And I was like, oh, shit.
I actually had that thought myself. Like,
yeah, no, that's a bad soldier.
Once Bosco gets taken, immediately Dean shows up, which in the timeline of their lives is a year and a half later.
Sure.
The timeline of the movie, they've split up Hammer and Mazzoli for maybe 5 minutes at most.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the most anticlimactic reunion ever. In fact, I don't even know why they split up. If you're going to split them up, they need to go away for an hour or half an hour of the movie and live different lives, and we need to see that.
That's true. That's
like,
absolutely.
That's the point I'm getting at, because like we get Hammer, we don't even see Dean doing his job. Like Mazzoli, we don't see Mazzoli doing his job.
That's kind of what I meant by the narration being a stand-in for part of least part of the second act. You know,
true. I guess I could see that.
Yeah.
One thing that I found really fascinating is like Hammer knows that Mazzoli has got the hots for Barbara.
Yep.
And immediately Hammer's like, yeah, Barbara and I are on the rocks. It's probably because I fucked some girl in Colorado. And then, like, Barbara found out about it, and, like, she was just, like, not cool with it. I don't understand why. But, like, I've been screwing around on her a lot, and, like, she hates me because I'm fucking anything that moves.
I'm kind of a dick. I don't know if you knew that, but...
Well, I actually wrote down, how much am I supposed to hate Hammer? Because it's a lot.
So much.
And then Hammer and Mazzoli get sent on a mission where there's a possibility of like a nuclear / biological weapon.
Yep.
That they have to go take pictures of.
Two guys.
I
mean, I guess it's an intelligence operation, but it turns out they are bad at the intelligence operation too. They're rebels, man.
Well, that's the thing, is like they're supposed to be in out like ghosts, right? Like, don't leave any footprints is what they're told.
That's the We
meet the enemy commander, who is played by Yuri Gabriel, who
Hey,
I don't know
Nick,
if you know him, but
Nick.
he was what?
Was he in Dark Knight Rises?
Oh my God! Yeah, he was the guy in
Was
the
that
pit
what
who
you were
helped
going to
Batman.
say? Oh my God!
I actually wrote down, "Hey, it's the guy from Dark Knight Rises."
As has happened in the last few episodes.
Yeah, he was in Delta
he shows
Force,
up a
Night
lot.
Terrors, Prison Heat, and
Yep.
American Cyborg.
Exactly.
We did not plan this way.
No, but apparently
It just happened.
it's a Yuri
this way.
fucking.
It's a Yuri 2020.
Sorry to curse that guy, but
yeah,
that's
my
what we're
Lord.
doing.
But yeah, so they're on this mission.
Also, that mission reminded me of The Rock.
Of the movie The Rock?
Yes.
Yeah, but this technically came out 5 years before The Rock, so...
That's very true.
We'll give this one... Yeah, this one wins. But yeah, Hammer and Mazzoli go on this mission where all they're supposed to do is take photos.
Right.
And, well, first of all, I was like... They get out of the water, they crawl into this building undetected, right?
Yep,
and they're like
perfect.
walking around on top of like catwalks.
Like the catwalks, yes, yeah.
Every time they do a close-up, they are just drenched, like water's dripping down their face.
So much.
The whole time I'm like, wouldn't the water drip
on people
from the fucking catwalk to the floor? And like, they literally are told don't leave a footprint, and they're leaving water prints everywhere to go.
It's so bad.
Like it's a fucking Scooby-Doo cartoon, right? And then to make it worse, Hammer sees Bosco in a cage.
He fucking takes aim immediately, and Dean, being the most ineffectual soldier, he's like, hey.
No,
Don't do it.
No footprints.
We
Don't leave a footprint.
We shouldn't do it. That's not a good thing.
And then Hammer's like,
fuck you, do it.
I'm Rob Lowe, bitch. And he's like, all right, well, I'll be the first person to jump in and kill somebody.
All right, cool. And Dean just swings down and stabs a dude. Whoever did that stunt, I actually loved that. It was very fluid.
That was a good stunt.
Because it wasn't Dean doing it, clearly.
No. Yeah, they should have followed orders because they eventually get Bosco out, but in getting Bosco out,
they kill like 15 people.
Yes, but they were all, not white, so it's
they're
completely...
guards, too.
Yeah, they're completely okay. To be very clear, I am not actually saying that is the tone of the movie sets. But
I mean, that's the 90s and 2000s all over.
Yes.
So,
well, it's like, every Russian is bad, every brown person is bad in those movies. And I think,
exactly.
China was the enemy in every movie for a while.
In the 80s, yeah, exactly.
But the thing that I found shocking is not only did they, Bosco is one guy.
And the fact that this is so important, this intelligence.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is they risked the lives of nearly every American and more to rescue Bosco, who, headed before this point in the movie, has had 2 lines, and he fucked up.
Because as far as they know, it's some sort of biological, like you said, or nuclear, which means, my God, an entire city could be gone. They could have.
Spoiler alert, it's both biological and nuclear, we find out.
Aha, tricked you. Yeah, it's B63 binary gas or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I believe.
Who cares?
I don't. Yeah, no, it's one of those MacGuffins. It's just like, that's the bad, scary
it's gonna
thing.
Be here. At a certain point, as they're escaping, Hammer gets exploded underwater.
And then he gets
nearly
the bends,
dies.
I assume.
I didn't understand this because I thought to get the bends, it was just coming up. I don't know how you get the bends from a percussion of an explosion and then raising 30 feet.
My idea, and this was not made clear at all, but for some reason, the net or whatever they're trying to get through is booby-trapped, or they make it explode, but the explosion happens. I think it takes out his oxygen tank, and therefore because he immediately takes his rebreather out of his mouth, and I believe that meant that he had to go up really, really quickly, and the other 2 could most likely take their time. And they
couldn't take their time because Bosco doesn't have a fucking oxygen tank.
Didn't they steal one? Or how were they fucking... No, they were.
Mazzoli is passing back and forth an oxygen tank.
No, they unpacked one from the SDV.
Right, but they swam underwater already for a mile to get to the SDV.
That was the best I could do. That was the unreal part too. Yeah, they swam through water pipes and shit like that, and he still didn't have a rebreather on. But then when they got into the SDV, I think he got one. But it doesn't fucking matter.
Mazzoli was passing the rebreather back and forth between him and Bosco.
Still, I don't... It's not clear. It's not clear, and he's got some sort of pressure sickness.
Right, so he's got the bends, and with the bends, his entire personality changes. It was weird.
He was a comedic genius at that moment.
He was a comedic genius. They call Barbara in because they're like, oh no, something might have happened. This is
Does that mean she flew from San Diego to Iraq?
To fucking
or wherever they were. Where were they? Dubai. Okay, yeah.
She flew from San Diego to Dubai, where, every single person in the army is casually sexually harassing the nurse of Hammer constantly.
Yep. Including Hammer, naturally.
To the point where it's creepy.
Oh, also that brings up a wonderful line that actually the doctor says, and this is one of my favorite lines of this entire movie, because I can't believe it actually got past anybody looking at this fucking script. It's, well, as I explained to your very beautiful wife. What? It was said with no irony, no joking, no wink and a nod. It was just straight, well, as I explained to your very beautiful wife.
Yep.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, nobody. I wrote, nobody takes anything as seriously as it should be. No. Absolutely no one.
Well, to the point where Hammer wants out, he's like begging everyone to get out, and he basically says, like, doctors are stupid. I don't need a doctor telling me what to do. I'm an army guy.
Also, these embargoes are bullshit.
He is definitely... If Hammer had... Spoiler alert. If Hammer had survived to the end of that movie...
Yeah.
He dies. But if he had survived, he would be a 58-year-old right now in Michigan protesting wearing a mask in public because
masks are fucking dumb, man. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
So while he's locked up, convalescing, Mazzoli takes Barbara out to a place called Forbidden Beach, where immediately they're like, oh yeah,
so stupid.
We love each other. And at this point, early in the movie, I asked the question of, like, why is Mazzoli into Barbara? There's no reason. At this point, I'm like, why is Barbara into Mazzoli? But not only that, why does Barbara even pick Hammer from the beginning? Because early on, like, every moment of Hammer's a fucking dickhead. Yeah. And Mazzoli is always there for her to be kind.
I guess. Yeah, Dean Mazzoli was essentially like if Cardboard learned to swim and kiss. And not well.
No.
Neither of those things well.
No.
But he is just... Nothing that he does is forgiven by his character. Like, how, sometimes a very charming person can do a really shitty thing and you're like, well, he is the main character. And you're like, wow, I kind of feel shitty.
Everything that all the guys do in, like, the Ocean's movies. You really
I was just thinking of Danny.
They're all so charming. You're like, yeah, okay, I like you.
Yeah.
You're still my lead.
I hope you get away with it.
Okay, we got to do this. Yeah. We have 12 minutes to make this the finest hour.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go. So the doctor basically says, you can't go on the mission, Hammer, but I'm going to go on the mission. Then Hammer steals a release form, signs it himself, and then goes on the mission, which I was like, wait, if the doctor's on the mission, wouldn't he see Hammer on the mission and be like, hey, you're supposed to be in the hospital?
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen because they go on the mission. Guess what? The underwater gate isn't fixed.
Yeah, I was so surprised by that. I was like, how long has it been?
But good timing, because the gate's going to get fixed that day.
By the end of their mission. And by the way, whoever has been to Universal Studios, the compound that they're at right now looks like a cross between the Waterworld show and also some sort of random Bond villain lair.
We forgot to mention that the mission they are going on is Mazzoli and Hammer have now found out that from the pictures they took earlier, there are those biological nuclear weapons that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and apparently it launches over a city, and then it'll slowly over a 6-month period or something like that layer over
and then everyone
and kill a bunch of people. It's bad. Yeah. It's just bad. It's it truly is a Bond villain thought.
It's a plot. Yeah, it's a Bond villain. Feels like the ending of it. Yeah, but they're sent in to destroy it. which I was flummoxed by this as well, because that gate is not fixed in the time that they did their last mission to this mission. But you know who is fixed from the time of their last
Bosco!
mission? Bosco! Who was shot in the fucking leg!
No.
And he's able to go on the mission. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it does not. It's kind of bullshit.
Yeah. And then we're like, mission. A bunch of
they're very bad. They're very bad at missioning because they get found out and they basically have to shoot their way out of the compound. They jump into a Jeep, bust out of the compound, then jump into the water.
Oh, they don't jump into the water. They drive the Jeep into the water. They
drive into the water. Oh, also, did you notice that when they landed the Jeep, they all had their flippers on, which they hadn't had in the fucking compound?
They did.
It's really quick.
Yes, they were all water ready the second they hit the water, the water.
I mean, they're Navy SEALs. They're professionals.
That's right. Well, they're. I mean, yes.
And then they actually get picked up by another part of the team that has commandeered one of the bad guys' boats.
Yeah, one of the bad guys' boats.
And actually, I liked that sequence. I liked them holding out, like they would drive by the floating guys with a rubber tire type of thing, and then they would like hook them and flip them into the boat, and it was actually the only part that was truly exciting to me.
I agree with you.
I thought that was well shot.
I thought that part was nice. That was a good moment. Like, it felt very real and honest.
Yeah, exactly.
And then an enemy boat comes out and starts shooting at the boat that all of our heroes are on. Like, all of our Navy SEALs are on a boat.
Just firing back and forth.
At this point, the rocket is about to take off.
Oh, no!
Right? Oh, no! What's amazing is we know that as the audience, but the characters don't know that.
No.
But as the rocket's right about to take off, somehow one of the characters on the boats goes, let's blow the building now.
We should blow the building. We're out. Yeah.
So they blow the building.
Because they have these remote things on their arms. It looks futuristic, like something from Fallout.
No, it actually looks like the fucking Predator
thing. Shit, you're right. Yes. No, exactly like that. Yeah.
But the thing that was amazing to me is, so we have bad guys shooting at our Navy SEALs. They explode the thing. All of our Navy SEALs are like, yeah, we won! Yeah. And then the bad guys start shooting again, and they're like, oh, shit, that's right. We've got a boat full of bad guys we have to deal with. And then they get this idea where they're all going to jump into the water, wait for a submarine, and the boat is just going to take off. This is Mazzoli's idea. Them. And the bad guys are going to follow the boat. And they start jumping off, and Mazzoli's like, wait, they're going to go out there. Why are they going after the guys in the water? And I'm like, they watched you jump off the boat, dipshit.
It's not fucking miles away.
Yes.
They're legitimately close enough to be shooting at you fairly accurately. And here's the beginning, sadly, of the worst choice in this movie, directorially and story-wise. When they leave Rob Lowe on the boat, and it doesn't play out the way it should.
How should it
play
out?
The thing is, he should sacrifice himself. What happened?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because he does try to sacrifice himself. First of all, he's not left on the boat. It's Mazzoli and Hammer who are left on the boat, and Mazzoli's about to throw Hammer off so he can get rescued. And Hammer goes, "Bye, tell Barbara I love her," and he pushes. So he does go so far as to try to sacrifice himself.
He kind of does, because then does he get shot at that point, or was it before?
He's already been shot.
He's already been shot. Okay,
he's already been shot.
What truly, in a Captain America style thing, he should have held on to the steering wheel of the boat to drive it directly into the other guy's boat.
No, he doesn't need to do that. He just aims the boat at them and then jumps off, and then the boat explodes.
No, that's not what happens. He gets caught on the boat. Oh, and he's almost he's gonna get exploded, and it's so tense. Oh no, and then he gets off right in time and doesn't die. Because what ends up happening is Mazzoli's in the water calling out for Hammer. Hammer pops up, and they're like, yay! And I think at this point, I can't remember because my note is really weird, because after this moment, I have a note about basically what happened, and it might have happened earlier in the movie and it just dawned on me, but maybe not. One of the women that Hammer slept with is Diane, who is Barbara's best friend. Yes.
And it's amazing.
The rocket scientist.
Because Hammer tries to explain it like, hey, she came on to me, and I have a dick, so I had to put it in her.
He is actually saying that when they're in the water.
Is that why I said that?
Yes, he's saying, "Oh man, I really screwed up. You got to tell."
Oh, that's right.
You got to tell Barbara that I'm sorry. And he's like, "No, you're gonna tell her yourself. Don't worry about it." He's like,
okay.
"No, I fucked Diane, and I'm sorry."
But part of the thing that threw me off is
such a weird time to say that.
Not only is that a weird time to say that, but earlier in the movie, when Barbara confronts him about this moment, her reaction is like, it's your fault. And it is not Diane's fault in the slightest.
Of course.
And his reaction is like, it's all Diane's fault. And I'm sitting here being like, wait, it's both of their fault.
Takes two to tango, my friend.
I couldn't understand, like, why her best friend was at fault. But anyways, okay, I'm glad that you said that, because I
believe that's how it went. I'm never going to go back to check it out.
Me
but
either.
We're just going to say that was at a very odd time, because there were a lot of lines that were very odd times. At this point, they get loaded onto the submarine. And there are a couple of great lines in this. Am I dying? Hammer asks Mazzoli. And he says, you're always dying. Thank you, Sylvia Plath.
I thought it was... He also... Because this is references a line early in the movie where he goes, I'm never gonna die. And, like, Hammer says, I'm never gonna die. And Dean is like, yeah, that's right, you're never gonna die. I thought that was... it was just so
It probably
stupid.
was. It was not a great callback. And then, I love you, Hammer. Don't you go on me. And then Hammer says, hold my hand. And it's so
if you've ever
sweet.
seen a movie before, I'm going to tell you right now, it is not Hammer time.
Aw, dang it.
Because he dies.
He dies. Yep, he dies.
At this point, they get off the submarine, and Barbara's sad. And Dean actually has this monologue where he's like, and I never saw Barbara again.
Yeah, it tore us apart. Like, Hammer dying really fucking separated the two of us.
And
couldn't be done.
At this point is where I wrote down, like, okay, so the women actually serve no purpose here but false drama. Like,
not at all. Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Their entire purpose is to serve.
Yep. Division.
Yeah. But the division, like, they could have fought over anything.
Yeah, they really could have. Like, promotions, whatever, fucking, yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely could have. I feel like there was a fucking, they had to put 3 women in here, and they decided nurse, girlfriend, girlfriend's friend. Yeah. And they were like, done. We got it.
Did it. But, like, you could just, like, and I'm going to actually take this one step further. Like, there's no reason for Hammer and Mazzoli to fight in this movie after they become friends.
Honestly, not. Like, there always is typically that fight for some reason near the beginning of the 3rd act so that they can all come back together. But this one started in the fucking 1st act and really, like, disrupted and made the whole rest of the movie feel so icky, didn't it?
Totally. Well, the fight could have been, when they get back, you know, Mazzoli could have been like, hey, our mission was to leave no footprint, and you fucked that up.
There it is. Yeah, absolutely.
And then that could be part of the argument. So when they have to go back in together, it's like, what the fuck are you gonna fuck up our mission again? Are you just gonna fuck it all up?
And also, other than the fact that Dean went to Virginia instead of staying with him, it never really had any real-time threat to their friendship. It was always like, no, we're cool. It's fine. Yeah. It's
well, they never really talked about it.
They never got into a fight. I guess it truly is, if you look at this is toxic masculinity personified, but for no fucking reason. No, it's bad.
Well, there was a real moment here where Dean goes, and Hammer was my best friend, and I was like, how?
He was your best friend. You met him in boot camp.
This has been like a year.
You left.
This movie's taken place over like a year and a half.
You did 2 missions,
and you didn't talk to each other for a full year of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I also wrote down some things in his final monologue that I could not believe, where he says the war with Iraq was the nation's finest hour. And I was like, really? That? What? Like defeating the Nazis in World War II wasn't our finest hour?
Yeah, right?
Our finest hour was...
The less than a year-long war?
Yes.
For oil?
And he also says, and amazingly, a small number of casualties of this war. And I was like, wait,
it was such a
American casualties. There were hundreds of thousands of people who were not American,
in Kuwait,
who died from bombs in this war.
It wasn't a great war.
It was not, and like, I mean, I guess if you're coming at it from like a pure jingoistic pro-American war machine, like, sure,
Basically.
I guess we did a great job in that we lost like 70 people and they lost 1 million.
You got to think about what time period this came out in. This was absolutely made like a week after the end of the war. You know what I mean? So they were definitely relying on riding high of the fact that it wasn't fucking Vietnam, that we had won a war. You know?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you're right. Like, but it's still, I don't know.
So it's like, in hindsight, it's like very not
when
great.
It's like when they made the World Trade Center movie like 2 weeks after World Trade Center happened.
I remember that, yeah.
With Nick Cage, which is different because United 93 was an incredible film.
Yes, and then Remember Me was just a weird,
I didn't actually
awful
see that.
film.
Did you just spoil that movie for me?
Oh no, did I? Should I?
No, you're fine. I don't care. Okay, Jay. We're nearing this finest hour, and if we are going to try to get this in under an hour,
I think we can do this. I had real quick 3 things to steal, and I starred them so I would be able to see them.
Oh, yes.
One was when Bosco sees the red sniper dot, and he says "bingo" to the bad guy. I thought that was a really cool moment to have, like, somebody realize, oh, I have hope. I am being beat the fuck up, and yet, oh shit, tables are gonna turn. That's a great, like, to imagine.
Although Bosco does make a big leap that red dot is, like,
not aimed at him.
Yes, like an accidental, like, like, there's a big leap where he's like, all right, I'm going home.
Yeah, no, you're right, but like,
still, with you.
It's a neat, it's a shorthand. I liked it. Again, I like the extraction boat. I thought that was just well shot. Mm-hmm. Like when they were picking up the guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what was wrong with all the rest of the action, but that was the only part that excited me.
So slow.
And one other thing was, I think we learn from the fact that, honestly, yes, it's imperfect, and a lot of war is, but I think if you wanted to redeem anything about Rob Lowe's character, you have him aim the thing and decide to sacrifice himself. I think that's what we fucking learned. He says, you know what? I'm not getting to get out of this alive. I'm already damaged. I'm already further damaged. This is my time to be a good person and fucking do it for myself.
Well, they needed to have Mazzoli hold his hand while he dies. I mean, like, that's... And I'm not saying that was a good idea. Yeah, honestly, if I would... Like, the one thing that I would really steal from this movie, and it's not a lot, because mostly I found this movie just to be super fucking boring, was, I actually really liked the line where the commander at boot camp says, if you think you can kick my ass, step forward, and everyone steps forward except for Mazzoli. Because what I thought
that was a pretty badass moment.
Well, and I thought that set up Mazzoli's character really well, where he actually is a badass. He doesn't need to, like, show his badassery, and he's clever. Like, all 3 of those things were shown in that moment. I was like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I would say this is not even worth a watch with friends.
It's really not, because there's nothing to laugh at. There's nothing to, like, draw you in.
It's not so bad it's good, and it's not good. It's not so bad that it, like, is bad, which there can sometimes still be fun in, like, so bad it's bad, even though it's... This was just so bland, it was boring.
You've seen every moment, every beat of this movie done better in movies before and since. Yeah. So, okay, Nick, what do you think we should watch next week?
Well, AJ, what I think we should watch next week is Scoob, but I know you're not interested in that.
Oh, I'm absolutely interested. But
let's watch that.
We can, but it's not related at all to this podcast.
Oh, right.
That's all I was asking.
I see. Yeah. Okay, so then I guess if we can't watch Scoob, we should watch something that's hot.
Feeling hot.
And the hottest thing I can think of comes right out of 1985. And I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking, Nick, are you going to say Hot Chili, which is a Cannon film made in 1985?
Is it that?
No, it's not that.
Damn it.
We are going to be watching Hot Resort.
Ooh.
1985. I mean, it's not called Hot Resort 1985. It's Hot Resort from 1985. And as of this recording, it is available on the and the tubes.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so
Great.
check it out.
I will.
Yeah, and we will find out next week if it was really hot, 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 or not.
Cool.
Yeah, I hope that's somehow edited so I don't sound as dumb.
Even this is staying in.
Yeah, I figured.
Next week.
I
think we did it.
Did we?
Wait,
hold on. At Nicholas C. Pappas on Twitter, nicholascpappas.com, a website that is forever under construction.
Yes, and theajhamilton.com and at theajhamilton on all of the things. You can follow us, Creating Canon, that's CANNON, at gmail.com, and at Creating Canon, spelled the same way. And as we always say, good night and good canon.
Thank you for joining us for our finest hour.
Ha ha! We did it. And now there's the music playing, Our Finest Hour.
That's why I did that. I was trying not to be funny.
I liked it.
Thanks, I tried.
So as a bonus at the end, I was going to tell you a story.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Yep.
I see.
So my dad, he was in the Navy during the Vietnam War. He didn't go, but he was in the Navy during that. And he was on the ship, and there was a
mad respect. I'm so sorry to say this, to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Mad respect that I know people who were in the armed services at the time.
Yeah.
And they call themselves Vietnam vets who never went to Vietnam. And I'm like, well, I hate to be an asshole. You were mad respect for your dad for, like, not only talking about being in the Navy at that time, but also making it very clear that, like, because the only reason I have an issue with that is I feel like it actually, there's a lot of people who died and a lot of people had a lot of issues, and to try to take glory from somebody who,
it's almost a level of stolen valor.
That is my exact issue.
Absolutely.
Sorry. I love your father so much.
Yeah.
And continued mad respect every single time you tell me a story about him.
He was actually, he was in the Atlantic. You know, he was very, very far away from the shit, as they call it. He was down in the Caribbean helping train Marines were actually going to go over and see the shit. So yes, he was safe. But there was a guy who was in his white, it reminded me of this movie. He was in his dress whites, and my father was still working on the ship, and he had his straight knife on his hip. And one of their stupid colleagues, another sailor on the ship, snuck up behind my father to try to slide the knife out of the sheath. And my father reached back when he felt the guy going in and trying to steal the knife, wrapped his hand around the knife, meaning that it cut all of his fingers. He freaked out and flung his hand forward, just, up like, oh my God, a dotted line up the guy's dress whites in red. And both of them turned around and beat the shit out of the guy trying to steal the knife.
Wow. Wow.
Isn't that fucking amazing?
That's incredible. That's an image of just like the red line, the straight red line.
I would love to put that into a movie.
That would be awesome.
That would be fucking cool.
Your dad's such a badass.
He is.
Such a badass.
Okay.
Oh, man.
We were meaner to it. Bullshit.
Oh my
Everything
God,
should be like me. Smart way to do it.
Yeah,
and the Holocaust. My fingies and my neck.
And this is how I find the craziest stupid shit.
Like zombie Holocaust?
Oh, zombie Holocaust. Do I wait, hold on.
Ejaculatory Control from 1992.
I own Zombie Holocaust on Blu-ray.
I was hoping that you owned Ejaculatory Control.
Lady in red, gonna kill me 7 times.
The Kremlin letter.
Lady in red, gonna make you dead. Sure. Scrubs and bones.
Are you just looking at her IMDb?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't think if you let me try this again. If you think you can kiss, I'm so confused why this note is at this point.
Say the note.
Denise.
Diane
was
an award.
An award
that we had won.
Jen, I gotta pee now! I gotta pee, I can't hold it! Which is what all funny people do. They all make that face.